And hopefully we're back. We got disconnected earlier because of the wireless. I was probably a little bit too far away from it. So we're just going to have to deal with, I know the lighting's not so great. I've got the sun in behind me. And I'm actually having to hand hold the phone today, so I'll try and be really still with that. I did have it all set up and I was raring to go, and I went live and it lasted for about 10 seconds and then it cut out on me. So once again, welcome to Monday Night Live. Which of course it's not Monday night. It is currently Wednesday at 7 p.m. here in California, where I'm coming to you from City Limits Ranch. And on where I come from in Australia, it is currently about midday on Thursday. So welcome to everyone who's joining, and please let me know when you're here by hitting one of the icons or the buttons or something like that, so I know that you're here. And today what we're going to talk about is our liberty training, or liberty. I don't like calling it liberty training, so to speak, because I use it for a whole lot more than that. So when it comes to liberty, there'll be people watching this video that have done liberty courses with me. You'll know that my approach to liberty is probably very different from a lot of people around that you may have seen videos of, or things on YouTube and things like that. For me personally, what I like to use liberty for is establishing a connection with the horse, and I really consider the term liberty to be freedom. And to my mind, that means the horse is free to express himself, or it's a good opportunity for me to take on board how the horse is feeling that day, or things like that. So what I'm going to go through is probably 5 or 6 different points, 5 or 6 different things that I believe are the great benefits that we get from doing liberty with our horses. And I know that we don't often get a lot of time to do liberty with our horses, so I just wanted to touch base and present this talk on the benefits. I use liberty with all of my horses. It's a really big part of my program, both with my horses, with horses that get sent to me, and advanced horses and horses that get sent to me for starting under saddle. It's a vital part of a lot of areas of the way or the methodology that I follow. I don't like calling it a program because to my mind a program sounds like it's pretty immovable, and that's not the case at all. So I certainly am trying to, I suppose the best thing that I can call what I teach is a philosophy, because what I'm trying to share is an approach to horses, and an approach to training, and an approach to having a two-way mutual respect with our horses. So the number one thing that brings me to is our liberty training builds respect. So the reason that I consider that it builds respect with my horses is that we've got nothing on them. So, you've got no halter, you've got no lead, you've got no saddle, you've got nothing on them when you're talking to them at liberty. And in the methodology that I use, my approach to horses, my approach to liberty, it's not about chucking them in a round yard and chasing them around and waiting until they look at you. That's not what I'm talking about here when I'm talking about liberty. What I'm talking about is opening a dialogue with the horse, opening a language between the two of us, and building a mutual respect that way. So once a horse has determined that you can still have a conversation with him, you can still communicate with him when you don't have any ropes or leads or anything like that attached to him, then he's motivated or even a little bit intrigued or a little bit inspired to listen to us perhaps that little bit more than he was before that, because now he starts to understand that you are able to communicate with him without, having the backup of a rope and things like that. I mean, a lot of us obviously are trying to be quite light with our horses when we're communicating with our horses and things like that. But whenever we've got a lead or anything like that attached to our horse pretty much knows that, okay, well, even if I don't do what they're asking me to do, then it can be I can cause the horse to do it because I've got a lead. I can cause him to face me. I can cause him to bend. I can cause him to lead in a particular direction. But once I've established a dialogue at liberty, and I can and the horse is willingly coming with me, then I know that I've got his respect, because again, it comes back to his freedom, and it comes back to his choice to follow me or come along with me, instead of me pulling him along with a lead or a halter. So number one reason that I like to use liberty. And the number one on the scale of liberty is, the first thing that I teach is respect. We still have to establish some boundaries with our horses. I mean, some horses, when you get into that play drive, you know, they will pop up on their back legs and rear up, or they will kick out in play and things like that. So I definitely need to establish a set of boundaries so my horse understands that there is still certain behaviors that are unacceptable. And that's the same as what would happen in the herd. You know, a herd establishes, you know, you'll see especially in a big herd, you'll see horses that will want to play, and then other ones that won't want to play. So the ones that don't want to play will say, no, that's my boundary, I don't want to play with you. And then the horse that wants to play goes and finds someone else to play with. So horses are very have a great ability to understand what a boundary is and what's acceptable and what's not, with individual people as well as other horses. The second reason that I like to use liberty is because it's a bit of a training starter for me. So when I've got the time, and I hate to use that word because a lot of us struggle for time, but when I've got the time, which is a lot of the time, what I like to do is do some liberty before I ride, because that allows me to open a dialogue with the horse without me just simply getting on them. It allows me to observe them for a little while and figure out what their state of mind is, what their mood is, what they're feeling like at the moment. So, you know, are they in a playful mood? Have they got a lot of energy? Did they sort of go straight into, you know, running around, or did they just want to hang out with me, and things like that? So what liberty allows me to do, I use the same analogy for my ground exercises. What liberty is to me is I can use it as a cup of coffee. So I like to compare it to, you know, having a cup of coffee with my workmates at the start of the day allows us all to sort of, you know, have a bit of a chat, settle into the office, understand that we're in work mode. Well, that's how I use liberty and ground exercises with my horses. I'll pop them into the arena or the round yard or the square yard or whatever yard that I'm using, and I sort of let things go where they may, and that gives me the opportunity to go, oh gee, you know, Cooper's got a fair bit of energy today, he wants to do, you know, he's popped straight into the canter, he seems to be running around, which gives me the opportunity to maybe look at my training plan and think to myself, well, today I was going to practice you know, improving my walk, but now Cooper's offering all this canter stuff, so maybe I need to work on improving my canter, or working on my fly changes or something like that. So it gives me the ability to sort of go, you know, where's the horse at? How's he feeling today? And the same, and the opposite is true. You know, sometimes you might pop into that yard, and as I said, I very much use liberty as a freedom thing. So, you know, I will offer the horse to go, you know, go trotting around or cantering around, and sometimes they might trot half a circle and then come into me and go, you know what, not feeling it today. I don't really want to run around, and so therefore my plan of doing flying changes or improving my canter, it gives me the opportunity to readjust that and say to myself, you know what, I may not be as successful with this today because my horse is a little flat. Maybe today is a good day to work on my turnarounds, or to work on my sideways, or to work on some skills that require a little bit less energy than perhaps you know, some of the high energy maneuvers. So that's something that I always keep in the back of my mind. So it's that little bit of a cup of coffee, that time for us to get to know each other, or reconnect, if you like, in the morning, or whenever you're going out to ride. And it's certainly something, it's the first thing that I did on my arrival here to the United States, to City Limits Ranch, where Phil and I are here to compete in the Cowboy Dressage World Finals. So, you know, we've got these horses here that we're so blessed to be able to use. We're so fortunate that we've got the same horses again this year. And this is our third time using these horses, but they haven't seen us for 12 months. So it'd be a pretty raw deal for us to just walk down around the paddock, chuck a halter on them, chuck a saddle on, and say, righto, we're going straight into cowboy dressage arena and we're going to train. So what I did was I put Trisket, my horse, in the round yard, and I spent some time, just opening a dialogue and communicating with her and seeing where she was at and all that kind of stuff. And then that way, that gave her the opportunity to sort of show me where she was at as well. And we just had that nice little reconnection conversation, if you like. So, it seems to be working really well. She's working absolutely fantastic. I've worked with her twice today. We're doing really short sessions, and we've done 2 of those today. And I'm really excited about the rest of the week. And I've got a Liberty Clinic here this weekend, so she'll be a part of that with me. And then we head up to Rancho Murrieta on Monday. So we've got a pretty busy week ahead. The third reason that I really enjoy using Liberty as part of my training is that it finds your holes. So what I mean by that is once you take the halter and the lead off, the truth is basically revealed. So if you're unable to open a dialogue or get your point across or get what you're asking your horse for achieved without any gear, then there's a very likely chance that the gear is doing the work for you. The horse is either A, not willing to do what you're wanting, or B, maybe your communication isn't that great. You're relying on your halter or your lead to actually pull the horse around or cause the horse to make a step and things like that, instead of actually having a conversation with the horse where you're guiding it, not forcing it with the equipment. So it definitely finds your holes, and you can definitely see where the problems lie in your training program once you take all that gear off. The fourth thing that I like to use Liberty training for is cross training. So it's definitely something that can be really powerful and really beneficial. If I don't like to use the time factor because, but a lot of us are on time schedules. So Liberty is something that I can do when I've only got 5 or 10 minutes. But it doesn't mean to say that if I've got an hour that I should forsake Liberty and go ahead and go for a ride. I mean, I can do a really nice Liberty session in a longer period of time as well. So, it's cross training. It's interesting for the horse. It's just something different instead of turning up there all the time and getting on them and riding them and having a ridden session. And the same goes for if we're doing ground exercises frequently as well. It's just another way to sort of, pop the horse in the round yard or, as I said, an arena or a small yard or something like that. And you take all the gear off and they go, oh, okay, this is a bit different. This is interesting. And it's just another way that we can do a little bit of cross training. So, I'm a real advocate of cross training. It's probably been spoken about in multiple videos. I talk about it pretty often for various reasons. Liberty gives me just that, another thing in my toolbox to go, what am I gonna do with my horse today? I know we're gonna go out and do some Liberty training with it. So it's an awesome thing for cross training, and that's across the board. As I said, from my young horses to my colts that haven't been started under saddle or colts that are being started under saddle, it's a really vital part of that program. But Cooper is, he loves Liberty. He's a great Liberty horse, and I use it as a really big part of his training. So it just gives him that physical break from the saddle and the reins and things like that being ridden, so to speak, and the headgear, the halter, and everything like that. But it allows me to actually do some still real training. I mean, once you've got the horse to a certain level in Liberty, you can get lots of circles or turnarounds, and I can get him to do rollbacks and sideways and lateral maneuvers and all that kind of stuff. So it's not just about getting the horse to hook on and follow you around. I can do pretty high level maneuvers at Liberty as well, which is, it's just a fantastic tool. The fifth reason that I like to use Liberty is the power of connection. And again, I spoke about it earlier in the video, is I consider Liberty to be freedom of the horse. So when I talk about Liberty training and I'm talking about having a connection, what it does is it just allows the horse to tap into me on a different level, and it reduces what I call white noise. So if you've got you know, even a halter and lead on the horse, you're potentially communicating via your body language, via the halter, via the lead. Maybe your hands are touching the horse, or a stick or a crop or whatever, that sort of thing. So the horse is receiving maybe 5 or 6 different messages that he has to interpret and that he has to do something with. So, you know, whether it's that he has to actually perform an action if he's been cued, or if he has to ignore an action, which sounds funny, but humans are so noisy in our conversation, and so noisy in the way that we handle horses, is that a lot of them have learnt over a period of time to actually ignore things. So one example that I like to use is that if you've got the halter and lead on your horse and you stop to talk to somebody, you might have the lead in your hand, and the lead might be swinging and moving underneath the horse's chin, and the halter might be moving on the horse's face, and you're not seeing it because you're busy talking. Much like, you know, you can probably see there's a little bit of rocking in the phone, because as I said at the start of the video, I'm having to hold it in my hand. So as I'm talking, the phone's moving. The same thing happens in the lead, but it's not something that we tap into or realize that we're doing. And so the horse, when that first happened, the horse probably went, oh, do I need to move? Am I supposed to be going backwards? Am I supposed to be coming forwards? Is it, you know, there is a vibration coming through that lead and talking to me, that over time he has realized that he is to ignore that cue, or that non-cue, or that vibration from us. So when we strip everything back and we go to liberty, our connection is getting, and our communication is getting much clearer to the horse, because we have to be very deliberate in our actions. We have to have a lot of clarity in what we're doing, in order to allow the horse to look at the message, interpret the message, and then perform the action that we're asking for via the cue or the message. So that brings me to my final point, which is liberty to me is having a conversation. I love that it strips us back. It strips, like I say, all the gear off the horse. But what it strips away from the human as well is that level of control. So what it does is it causes us to be so very present with the horse, and it causes us to read and observe body language that we may not be attuned to when we're going through our general busy day riding. Oh, you know, I've got an hour to ride, so I better go and chuck the halter on, or chuck the saddle on, and get, you know, bang out my training and then put the horse away. And we may not have recognized certain things for the entire time, that hour that we've been working with our horse, because we're so busy, you know, doing the saddling and brushing and those mechanical actions that we do. And then once we're riding, we're trying to put drills in there, or skills in there, or we're trying to do repetition and things like that. What liberty does is it strips all that away. Liberty, we don't have gear to fuss with, we don't have gear to think about, we don't have mechanical actions to do. So what it causes in the human is it causes us to be very, very present in what we're doing. It causes us to slow everything down in our body and think about what energy we're putting out, what body language we're putting out, and what we're giving for the horse to read. So it causes us to have a lot of clarity in that way and be very clear in our communication in that way. And for us, sorry, I just got distracted because the dogs and everything, I was looking around to see what was happening. So for the human, it causes us to strip everything back and to be very present. But what it also causes us to do is have a keen eye and observe a lot of what's going on in the horse that normally we probably wouldn't see. Because when we're just us, naked, if you like, you don't have to do liberty naked, but if it's just us and just the horse and there's nothing else involved, what it causes us to do is really observe the horse in a different light, and almost with fresh eyes. So when I'm standing in the arena with a horse at liberty, you know, the flick of an ear means something, or the twitch of a skin means something, or the flick of a tail means something. Whereas when I'm riding, they're probably minuscule actions that I'm not attuned to that I'm not noticing. So what Liberty allows me to do is is really strip it back and get everything really nice and raw and have that level of communication. It's a very pure level of communication, if you like, when I really think about it. When I think about being in that just him, just me in that yard, and I strip away my expectations and I strip away, all of my tools that allow me to force the horse to do something or cause the horse to do something, because to get him to lead, all I have to do is pull on the lead rope. Well, when I don't have a lead rope, to ask him to come with me is asking him to come with me. He actually has the ability to say, you know what, I don't want to come with you. I don't want to go for a walk. And so then that causes me to reflect and think, well, why doesn't he want to come for a walk? What am I doing? What's my body language telling him to do? And all the rest of it. So they're the main benefits to Liberty. There's a lot more that we could sort of talk about and things like that. If anyone's got any questions, please pop them in the comment box and I will try to address them before I log off. I know that there's a few of you watching. I don't know where you're watching from, whether it's Australia or whether it's here in the United States. If it's people in Australia, then hopefully you've gotten to see this today, whereas you might not usually be able to see it on Monday nights. So that's fantastic. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you're here in the United States, we do have a Liberty course this weekend at City Limits Ranch, and I've got another one in 2 weeks at Grass Valley. So if anyone's interested in those, please by all means send me a message and I'll let you know all the details and where it is. But other than that, thank you all for joining. I hope that you got some information out of this that you can start to apply with your horse, or maybe get you a little bit interested in maybe doing some Liberty if it's not something that you do already. And if you have any questions or anything, please go ahead and send them to my messenger. Thank you. Talk to you soon.